The night before they opened my chest, I sat on the edge of a hospital bed that was not mine, in a gown that tied in the back, and I was more afraid than I had ever let anyone see. I am 73 years old. I buried a husband, raised 4 children, and taught second grade for 31 years. And I had always been the one others leaned on. Now a young surgeon with kind eyes had drawn my heart on a paper towel and told me, gently, that the valve was failing and that in the morning they would stop the very thing that had kept me going since before I could remember. I did not sleep. I watched the monitor blink green in the dark and listened to the cartwheels in the hall. And I thought of all the things I had never finished saying. My daughter had gone home to rest. The room smelled of antiseptic and cold coffee. And somewhere past midnight, when the fear sat on my chest heavier than any failing valve, I remembered the card. My granddaughter Ruthie, she is 7, had pressed it into my hand that afternoon before they made her leave. She had folded it twice, blue construction paper, and on the front she had drawn a stick figure me with gray hair and an enormous smile, holding a stick figure her. Inside, in crayon that climbed uphill across the page because she has not learned to write straight yet, she had copied a verse her Sabbath school teacher gave the class that week. I had thanked her without really reading it. Now, by the light of the monitor, I unfolded it again. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. It was Psalm 56:3. 7 years old, and she had handed me the one thing I needed and could not give myself. I had spent my whole life being the strong one, the one who trusted God on behalf of everybody else, saying grace, sitting up with the sick, telling frightened children in my classroom that everything would be all right. Somewhere I had begun to believe that being faithful meant never being afraid. And here was David, a grown man, a soldier hunted by his enemies, not pretending he wasn't afraid, but naming it, and in the same breath turning it over to God. Not, I will never be afraid, what time I am afraid, as if fear were not the opposite of trust, but the very doorway to it. I held that crooked crayon verse against the gown over my failing heart, and I cried the way you cry when something finally lets go. I told the Lord I was frightened of the dark room and the long sleep, and of not waking to see Ruthie grow. And then I did the thing the card told me to do. I trusted him, not because the fear left, it didn't, not entirely, but because I no longer had to carry it alone. They wheeled me away a little after 6. I remember the ceiling lights sliding past like a row of pale moons, and the cold and the mask coming down. And I remember that my hand, the whole way down that hallway, was closed around a small blue card. I woke. Of course I woke. I am here to tell it. But to say that the waking was not the point. Somewhere on that gurney, I had already been given back to myself, handed over to the one who made my heart in the first place and was not the least bit worried about mending it. Ruthie keeps the card on my refrigerator now, held up by a magnet shaped like a sunflower. I see it every morning, and when I am afraid of the next appointment, of growing older, of the day I will not be here to fold her into my arms, I read those uphill crayon letters again, and I remember that trust is not the absence of fear. It is what you do with your fear. You give it, trembling, to the God who has never once let go of your hand.